In today's lesson, I'm going to share with you 4 different ways to comp over rhythm changes. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, Jamie Holroyd here helping you learn jazz guitar. Welcome to the channel. Rhythm changes is one of the most commonly played jazz standard tunes, so you need to be able to comp and improvise over that. Today I'm going to discuss 4 different ways in which you can comp over the rhythm changes A section. If you'd like to get the downloadable PDF with all the examples notated, you can do so by joining me on Patreon. And if you are new to jazz guitar and you want an instruction method to help you on your way, then there is a link to my beginner jazz guitar course, which is linked and listed below. The first example uses drop 3 chords. What separates these from drop 2 chords is that drop 2 chords tend to all be contained on adjacent strings, whereas drop 3 chords have a string which is not played somewhere in the voicing. For example, this first chord, we can see right there that there's nothing on the A string. This pattern continues throughout each of the voicings. Drop 3 chords are great to use in duo situations. What you'll notice here is that I've tried to keep the root on the 6th string whenever possible. For example, in the second bar, the F7 that you can see there is usually played like that. But just for now, we're putting the 5th in the bass, which gives us a continuous sound from the C minor 7. The next example works better in full band situations. What we have here is a chromatically rising note. So as you can see in the first 2 bars, we've got B flat, B, C and C sharp, and each of these notes are harmonized with chords. Following that, we've got a descending melody note in bars 3 and 4. In bars 5 and 6, we've got some common tones. The B flat is a common tone for about 4 different chords here. F minor 7, B flat 7, flat 13, E flat major 7, E flat minor 7, and then the final lick has a guide tone that goes B flat, A, then G. Here are all 8 bars played slowly. The third example is a bass line, a walking bass line in which you add chords. I actually find this very hard to play exactly the same every time, so I'm going to try and give you the overall concept here of what's going on. So basically, you get your chords, your drop 3 chords, and you just play the roots to begin with, so B flat, G, C and F, and then every time you go to a new root note, for example in the first bar, our new root note is G, you can either approach that from a semitone below or above. There's below, here's above. You keep this pattern going, so for example from the G to get to C, all you have to think of is either C sharp or B natural, and they both go to C in beat 1 of bar number 2. I'll play the first bar as I've written it out here just for reference sake. So we've got B flat, G flat, G, then we've got D flat, C. Okay, the chords are all added on the end of the beat. So we've got 1, then we've got the G flat, bass note, chord on the end of the beat, C sharp, and then the pattern continues. The final example uses spread triads. The very first chord that we're looking at is all the way up here, and this is actually a B flat with the 5th in the bass. We then go to a G7 with the 7 in the bass. Then we go to an E flat with the minor 3rd in the bass. Then an F7 with the 7th in the bass. And then we've got some more standard voicings here. D minor 7, G7, C minor 7, F7. In bar number 5, we've got an F minor 7 with a 5th in the bass. Then we've got an E7, which is a tritone sub. Then an E flat 6 with the 5th in the bass, and E flat minor 7 with the 5th in the bass. Then we've got a 3 in the overall key, which is D minor 7 with the 5th in the bass, G7, which has the root in the bass, and then we've got a 2 chord with the 5th in the bass again, and then we've got a standard 5 chord. So I'll play all that slowly without talking so you can hear it. The only difference here is that this one has a second time ending, and on the second time ending we've got C minor 7, F7, and then B flat with an open D string in as well. Thank you for watching my rhythm changes comping lesson. I hope that you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did and you would like more content like this, then please don't forget to subscribe.